Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Screwed up a whole lot. Hi, welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we have with us Marlene Zisman. She is a registered holistic nutritionist and a heart-centered entrepreneur with a passion for whole living. She is currently focused on helping women transition from matron to crone. And we had a little bit of a discussion about the whole crone word, which we will continue on with here. Welcome to the show, Marlene. I'm so happy to have you with me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jill. It's so nice to be here. This is great. Looking forward to our conversation. I feel like I already know it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with that word crone.
Okay.
We're talking about how you kind of perceive it, and then I'll talk about your goddess part.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were just touching on an expression of embodying the goddess energy or turning into a goddess. So, if I said I offer women going through menopause and beyond, tools to metamorphosize into their full power goddess, let's say, something like that. And then you were using the term crone. And to me, in my head popped I don't know, something kind of like old and witchy vision, which is not, completely true. But then we said that maybe, for some women, it might be a far stretch to try and really imagine yourself blossoming into like a goddess. Maybe crone sounds like somebody who's wise and older, without somebody feeling whatever else they might have around that term goddess.
Okay. I agree with you a lot on all of those points.
Okay.
And I have reached a point in my life where I embrace the term crone because I feel like I've earned it after all this time. And a person who's reached the crone stage of their life, they're like, you can like me or not, I really don't care.
Yes, I agree.
When it comes to being a goddess, I've embraced this about being a goddess. Okay. I am definitely a fertility goddess. I have the body shape of one.
Right?
And I own it.
Yes.
Having had 5 kids, it's just what it is.
Right. I feel ya. I had 2 big ones. But you know what? My boyfriend said I'm shaped like a fertility goddess kind of doll. I'm not sure. He meant it as a compliment, Hey. So I'll take it. It's a miracle.
My husband likes it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, would you say that's part of like a crone energy is like making peace with your body? And it's so funny because like the further away it is from like how it originally was so naturally perfect when you're young, when you never appreciate it. And then later on with all its bangs and dents and, scars, it's like, you're not so bad, old bud.
I know, right?
I love you. It's true. And then you
still get me around.
You still get me right. My body's been a very excellent vehicle for the growth of my soul, and I'm grateful for it. And I just dress differently now to show off different parts than I used to, let's say, or you just get strategic. That's all.
Mm-hmm. I love overalls. it's my thing. I hate having something around my waist that's binding,
Mm-hmm.
and overalls, they're just they're so practical for me. And I've had people say, you shouldn't wear your overalls because they make you look like you're a farmer. Well, I got news for you. I live in the country and it's okay.
I think it's cute until you have to pee, unless you're having like a day where you have to pee a lot. A lot of straps up and down, but I wear overalls. I think they're so cute. But yeah, I've embraced a silhouette, if you will, that's more like short tops and high-waisted kind of flowy bottoms, emphasizing the few parts that, they look good bigger. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's working for me.
I had boobs for the first time in my life.
Yeah, same. That's really funny.
I know it's terrible to say, but when I was young, I really wanted to have big boobs. I mean it, but I
Oh,
was
that's
I
normal.
was skinny, I was tiny, and I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
had any kids. It usually takes kids and a little bit of weight.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's like you have a whole different body, which is part of, if I can just like leap ahead, can I go off on something
Yeah,
sort of
go
tangential,
where
but
you
not
want
really?
to go.
Part of what I started teaching in this course that I did earlier this year, an online course with women who are in perimenopause, like any stage of peri to full on menopause, was this sort of like body love idea and this concept that I never really heard anyone else talk about. There's a lot of menopause coaches, but I hadn't heard anyone really speak about how we feel about our body, the energy around a woman's body. And I came up with this metaphor to try and get people to understand that we don't have the same body physiologically after childbearing years, and men don't either. Your functions change, your needs change, and trying to fight against that to fit in your skinny jeans from when you were 40, is not the right kind of energy to put on it. But just like you wouldn't say to a 16-year-old girl, try and fit in your pants from when you were 11. I mean, why would you try and force something that it's not natural? And I wanted to convey to women that it's almost like, even if you ever catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror naked, let's say, and like 1 minute you're like, all right, that looks good, and then like you could look in another room with different lighting, you're like, oh God. But I feel like it's almost like we're meant to not want to love our bodies, It's like I can see my body in the mirror and go, okay, you're having a good day. I mean, I take care of myself. But if you think about it like, oh, if I took a picture and posted this online, what would people think? Like they'd be like, oh, look at that. Or then you start sort of picking yourself apart. And I'm trying to unravel those patterns for all of us and really sort of change the narrative to one that's like about empowerment and self-love, and but also taking care of your new body with different nutrition, different kind of exercise, because you got to do stuff differently. Because you see people shrinking, they atrophy, they fall over, they break. Like we don't have to go down that path. We're not destined to just fall apart and just, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you know that you need more protein as a man or a woman over 50, and you need weight-bearing exercises, and you need some kind of like spiritual practice or like meditative practice, introspective practice, then you can be a thriving, healthy, robust, vital human for another like 40, 50 years. Who knows? We're going to be living to, by the time you and I are 100, people are going to be living beyond that. So I'm trying to tell people, don't give up. Don't start disliking yourself at 50, or you're going to be really screwed when you're 70, 80. Like, you got to be intentional now. So,
Mhm. And it starts with diet, but like it's so important. I know that this is a statistical fact. Most older people, if they fall down and break something,
yeah,
it's almost a death sentence for you. And
true.
because their bones, they don't take care of their body enough that their bones become brittle and they just can never really recover. But
Yeah.
I fall down routinely on accident. Last time was just a couple days ago, and my dog got under my feet and tripped me while we were walking, and I went down hard.
Oof.
That I probably fall down at least once a year, and that alone is warning to me that I must be very careful about my diet and
Mhm.
exercise, because those two things will really help strengthen your bones so that they don't break when you fall.
Yes, it's true. I'll share something that's even like a nuance of that. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Pilates, it's a form of
Mhm.
exercise. So I discovered Pilates, I don't know, like 10 or 15 years ago. I had a neighbor who owned a studio and she gave me a free month's pass to try it. And first of all, there were a lot of women in that class who were in their 60s, 70s. There was a woman in her 80s. There was even like a 90-year-old woman in there. These were the strongest group of older women I'd ever seen, and they'd all like religiously done the Pilates classes. Um, and I thought, oh my God, I'm onto something. So that's like a lifelong love of Pilates from there on in. And I started getting back into it again about like a year ago. And there's a lot of footwork. There's a lot of strengthening. This is my foot on the Pilates
Okay.
board. There's a lot of strengthening of like accessory muscles and little muscles in your feet, your ankles, your toes, your hands. It's very intentional, like yoga.
Mhm.
And then there was a time not long after I'd been doing it for a while, and I was like, "Yeah, it makes you feel like strong and graceful. I really love it." And I rolled my foot. I was wearing something that like a heel. I think it was a platform sneaker, and I rolled my ankle. There was like a hole in the street, as you do. And I caught myself in a situation that if I hadn't had the strength to counterbalance and the flexibility to right
Mhm.
myself like that, it could have been really painful, disastrous fall. I could have like broken my ankle. And I had the thought like, oh my God, it's because I'm intentionally working all those muscles in a way to make sure that I know how to recover it instead of falling. So I find Pilates is really good to strengthen like every little part of your body, your fingers, your hands, like you name it. So
Yeah, people need to do Pilates or yoga or something. My daddy, he's 88. He does Tai Chi and
that's
he
so
does
cool.
it every day. I mean, it's just the thing that he does. And it is really cool. It's moving your body with intention. It makes you aware of your body
Hmm.
and where your body is. And you know, people that hit 60 and decide to sit down for the rest of their life aren't going to live very much longer
I
because
agree.
that's
Or not well, not vibrantly.
yeah, or yeah, it's they've come out with sitting is the new smoking.
It's true. I've heard that. I mean, I went from having a job that was like on my feet all the time to getting a corporate job for 3 years, and I gained like 15 pounds, lost a bunch of muscle. Then I was kind of like a skinny fat, tired, drank a ton of coffee. So like my body was definitely changed from sitting down, and then the whole lifestyle that kind of goes with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, get off your butts, people. Really need weight bearing exercises. Most importantly, like move stuff like Tai Chi. It's meditative and it's moving all kinds of things, energetic flow and all that good stuff. But you also want to definitely incorporate like specifically some weight bearing exercises, because that's what's going to help strengthen your bones and keep your bones strong. Not
Hmm.
calcium, but like actual weight bearing. So
Yeah, and
that
it can be simple things like, hauling your own stuff around, haul your
totally.
groceries in.
Well, like that with your groceries. Like, you ever do bicep curls with your grocery bags?
Yeah,
I've done that a million times. Why not?
and
Get it.
how good are you at like getting everything out of your car in one trip?
Ooh, right. Well, you know what? It's like a badge of honor if you can do it. It's funny. I
Yeah.
saw a meme not long ago that was it was like a woman and she said, I want to be so strong that other women look at me or people look at me and say something like, damn, I bet she gets all her groceries out of her car in one go. And I was like, that's just it. That's what I aspire to. I'm not trying to be a fitness model, but I want to be strong for my actual real life so I can do all the things in real life. That's a
So you
good
can
goal.
buy that heavier dog food for your dogs.
Yes,
You
exactly.
don't have to go as
You could
often.
save trips, save money. Right, exactly. It's more
You
efficient
know,
to be strong, definitely.
yeah, it's not that hard. It's not like you have to go to the gym and work out and cut all this time out of your day. There's
Right.
things you can do just that are just like part of your life.
It's
So
true.
we should probably talk about your coaching practice.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right.
So what are you doing with your coaching practice? Who are you helping? How are you helping them?
Okay. Well, you know, right now I'm really focused on specifically helping women in menopause and beyond. Partly it came to that sort of niched down as I pursued making a business out of originally, which was just kind of like nutrition and high vibe, health coaching, I would call it. And then I started to go through menopause. And at the time I was working and everyone else was a guy. And I remember going to a meeting and I was upset, but I was like crying because of the hormones. And I felt so unregulated, like mishmashed. And, I was like, oh my God, are there any resources for this? How come no one told me this was going to be like this? And I remember going into this meeting with these two guys and I really wanted to like stand my ground on something. And I had to say to them, listen, you guys, I am upset, but if I'm crying, it's not because I'm so upset about this that I'm crying. It's because I'm really hormonal. And I was getting like choked up. Like I was it was a bad day, let's say. And I thought, this is ridiculous. There has to be a better way. And I have all these tools for, let's say mental health, I'll call it, all these tools that I've sort of conglomerated for myself from old practices, things I've learned and studied over like 30 years, basically of practicing with this stuff. And during the pandemic, people were like, how are you so calm? Like, what's your deal? And I would say, well, I'm using the tools, guys. And they'd be like, tools, you have tools? I can't believe how many times people were like, you have tools. And I was like, well, you can too. And then I thought, well, I have to share them. So why don't I share the tools specifically, maybe skewed towards professional women who are going through menopause, who wanted to like still crush it at work and not be debilitated by, the annoying side effects that can be really disruptive from perimenopause. So I gave them nutrition, supplement, other practices like tapping, breath work, things to help them regulate their nervous system, which helped with the hormones and help them sleep, which helps with your eating. Like all the things are really synergistic. So I really try. It's really like my coaching was like a mind, body, spirit, like a three-prong approach to being well and not just surviving menopause, but actually like thriving beyond it. What comes next? And I did a course for a month and I found it was great. But then I wanted to go a little bit more. I'm expanding on that concept of making a longer course, which I'll launch next year. And I'm just kind of fleshing it out. But, for women, that embraces a little bit more of that sort of goddess vibe. So maybe women who can see that or who do aspire to feel like that. And just going deeper into all the parts of it. And so in between the course that I did which was my first real foray into business online, or really for myself. And then thinking I was going to launch that other thing already this past September, but it wasn't quite right. I wasn't sure about my messaging. I wanted to redo everything. I ran out of my funds. et cetera, et cetera, startup stories. So I decided to just let that organically come together and become like my real, a real important piece of work that when I'm ready to bring it forth, it'll be really transformational. And in the interim, I am doing one-on-one coaching with women, and if they are in menopause or not, but it can be around your nutrition and your supplementation and your daily habits and kind of geared toward, it depends where you're at and what needs, kind of looking at and working on. So that's how I work with people right now, is the one-on-one. It's a long answer to
And they
that.
can find you on your website.
Yes, they can find me on my website. So marlenezisman.com. It's, I know you're going to put it in the notes, MarleneZisman. I have a weekly newsletter that's called The Vibrator. And I've just added a little part in there where I'm adding synopses of podcasts, audiobooks, and books that I read to share the information so people can stay in touch with what's new in the world of health and wellness and what they should know, I think. What, in my opinion, that they should know. So there's that too. So those are good ways to connect with me if somebody's feeling my vibe out there.
I'm feeling it. I think the thing that's really inspiring me about talking with you is I know that you're on the other side of menopause, as am I. And I've seen so many women that are struggling through it, and they maybe called their mom, and their mom's like, yeah, honey, you'll never get done with those hot flashes. And you're like, yeah, you're a big help.
Right.
Or what can I do? Which is the biggest thing, is like, how can I control these hot flashes? And how can I sleep at night when I keep waking up? And, for me, it ended up like, I just wanted to drink a lot more wine. And I figured if I could make myself pass out, maybe I would sleep longer. And, that's never a good idea.
I mean, it's not a great long-term plan. Yeah. Right. There are a lot of things you can do, though, that people just aren't aware of. Is that where you were kind of going with that? Like having resources, they were really lacking. People weren't really talking about it. Now they are a bit more, which is great. It's coming out of the dark. I feel like it's like a new light shining on menopause. It doesn't have to be some weird taboo thing that our mothers were like, you just have to live with it or whatever, right? It's not your mother's menopause.
Yeah, it's not your mother's menopause. Own it. It's great on the other side. You got to swim through the infested waters, but
yes, you do.
The guide, it's not that bad.
When you have help and you know that you're not going through it alone, being part of a community. I have a Facebook group for the people that went through my program. And I plan on growing that more. But the camaraderie with other women who are going through the changes, I think really makes people feel a little bit better about it and more comfortable and excuse me, and then they can even find resources for, things that they want to work through the other people in the community too. But I think it's a new day is dawning for the menopausing goddesses.
Yeah, I think so too. So what would you say is like one of the most significant things that you would like to share with people, as far as, if you're in menopause or going into menopause or worried about hitting menopause, because you've heard all the horror stories. What would you say to those women? The 40-somethings out there that are licking it down the barrel.
Yeah, and they're like, holy crap, it's terrible.
Yeah.
People say that. I would say to start prioritizing self-care, and that routines and sleep hygiene and wake hygiene and spiritual and mental hygiene, having boundaries. Protect your energy. learn about what you need to eat and what things you should supplement with now and moving forward. And if you feel good and you have practices that make you feel good, you will get through it, and there's a lot of natural help available. I definitely have, if anybody wants, I have a guide for supplements in menopause that is correlated to the symptoms as well. So anybody can get that. Can you get that off my website? Okay, I'll give you the link, Jill, or I'll put it on my website too. But that there's a lot you can do. You don't have to just suffer silently through menopause. There's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of natural help out there and support. So
yeah, the whole thing is it's so great that it's coming out into the forefront. It used to be that you just like, well, just go get hormone supplementation, and I don't know. I'm just like so adverse to taking anything that's chemically related into my body, because it's just like, so this is going to cause like other problems down the line. You know, we were told about birth controls are totally fine.
yeah.
It's my personal opinion that birth control pills have made menopause most women much more difficult.
I think there's something to that. I think so. There's a I mean, I
You've
was on.
screwed up your body's hormones.
You did, and I think, but getting a handle on your hormones through a lot of different ways to approach that is like one of the best things you can do for yourself at any stage in life. But definitely when your hormones are in flux, you got to do all the things to, to keep control over them so they don't control you. And if you're in control of your hormones, not the other way around, you're going to be in control of your emotions. You're going to be in control of your interactions. You're going to be in control of even of your futures to some degree because of how you're approaching things, so what you're manifesting.
Yeah. And there's just so much power in the knowledge that you do have control, and you may have to give up some things that you were in the habit of using when you were younger, that it was fine, but as you get older, like I've recently embraced sobriety. I haven't quit drinking. I've just chosen to embrace sobriety, and I'm reaping some really interesting benefits from it that God, I wish I'd done it so much sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I liked wine. I like to drink wine, and but it was causing me problems, and it made menopause itself a lot harder for me in the beginning, because it really does mess with your hormones, and what you eat messes with your hormones. So if you can really take a look at your diet and figure out, what is helping me and what is not helping me. Things like soda pop. People drink soda pop instead of water. Well, they're not the same chemical composition, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. In nutrition school, I remember one of the teachers had an expression. It was like, bubbly drinks make bubbly bones. And I can't recall what was all the chemistry behind that, but I drink carbonated drinks, but don't make carbonated drinks your only sources of like liquid all day long. That's definitely a mistake. They give me a little indigestion now that I'm older. They make me a little like burpy.
I drink carbonated water sometimes. I like to mix Pellegrino with cherry juice. It's like my own thing that I like to do, but I usually only have like one drink, and sometimes I'll splurge and have those. There's a drink called Ancient Ones or something. It's a mushroom drink, but it is carbonated.
Oh, cool.
But it's not kombucha, and it tastes kind of like a soda, almost a beer flavor, but has caffeine in it. And I was drinking them in the evening, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot sleep.
Oh no.
So, yeah. So you have to drink them in the morning.
Yeah.
But I like coffee in the morning, and I can only usually have like a small amount of caffeine at this point in my life. Otherwise, I'll be awake.
You know, well, what you like, I think a lot of people over the age of like 40, 45 start to have their sleep really negatively impacted by drinking, especially red wine. I know a million people who had to step away from red wine specifically or wine specifically. These were people that really loved wine. And then all of a sudden it just didn't love them back. And that happens to a lot of people at that age. So I think it might be related to the hormones. Just the same way caffeine doesn't affect you the same way. It's different. It can mess up your sleep when you're older, or even if it didn't when you were younger. So you do have to reassess your diet.
I used to be able to drink coffee like right up until I went to bed. And
me too.
And now it's like, I know if I have more than 1 cup, and I better have it very early in the morning, it will impact how I'm able to fall asleep at night. It's just, I think it's a matter of being aware of the things that you're putting into your body and how your body is changing, and having some flexibility with yourself to adapt.
Yes.
Is having that glass of wine more important than having a good night's sleep and feeling like crap tomorrow? I don't know.
Well, that's just
for some people, it might be okay.
Yeah. It's true, though, it becomes maybe there's more reverence for your day or your energy to some degree, and you don't want to sabotage it. So it often becomes, I think for me, or it's gotten more so, not worth it to, go for drinks. Or, I just naturally stopped drink a lot less also. Not like I gave up drinking, but I drink it a lot less. Because when I do, it's like I have to pay for it a little bit to some degree, and less I'm willing to. Because I feel good. Yeah, and then you feel good without it because you're not paying, there's no repercussions. Except you get a better sleep. So then you're like, oh, this feels good. So it's
so weird. Sleep drives my life.
It does.
If I have a great night's sleep, I feel terrific all the next day, and I'm feeling like I can handle the world. But if I have a really poor night's sleep, the tears come whether I want them to or not. It was just like things hit me, and I had a day like that on Monday where people would tell me stories, and I'm over here with my Kleenexes, trying to not cry on the camera.
Oh no. You're sensitive soul. And the sleep.
Oh, I am. The sleep just is so crucial.
I know. And it does become more elusive. My ex-husband used to joke around that if there was a tornado and it lifted up the whole house, but I was asleep, I wouldn't even wake up from it. My bed could be spinning. I would keep sleeping. Now, if I hear like a noise 2 floors down or whatever, or the temperature in the room changes or the blanket moves, I'm like, I'm up. I wear an Aura ring. I don't know. Are you familiar with? It's like a biosensing ring. And then when I look at the reports, I'm like, oh my God, like how many times I woke up during the night. And I didn't get as much deep sleep as I thought I did, or like it's really interesting to look at. But I really think like what we're saying is it bears examining your habits and looking where you can tweak things, because getting consistently good sleep is a game changer. Getting consistently bad sleep is not going to serve you in the long run. So things like that, they become more important too in the later stages, I'll say, of a woman's life. I think of men and women, but for business purposes, I kind of looked at where to focus. So for women, it's a much more abrupt change and a bigger leap. Men have a hormonal shift that's significant too, but it's like a slow drip over a slower time. And we get like, bam, hit in the face with it.
Yeah. So it's like, hello.
Right? I was like, oh, this will be a piece of cake for me. People were talking about menopause again, and people were complaining about like hot sweat, night sweats. And I was like, yeah, I'm hot. It was okay. I was managing all right. And then for like a month, I swear I had a hot flash every 30 minutes, every day, all day, for like 4 weeks. And actually, functional mushrooms helped balance that out. That's a whole other podcast, I think. But I took there's a brand called Four Sigmatic, and they make mushroom powders and coffee mixes and stuff like that. And they made a protein powder, and I started using it for about a month, and it seemed to help it subside. So it's just my anecdotal for entertainment.
The Cocoa Tropics. Have you ever heard of those? It's
Tropics?
chocolate
No.
mushrooms. Chocolate and mushrooms, or cocoa and mushrooms, I should say chocolate.
Okay.
It doesn't have sugar in it.
Okay. And that's another like drink mix?
I dump that in my coffee. I think you could put it in anything, but I use it in my coffee, and if I'm feeling real special, I'll throw some swerve in there too. And then it's like a mocha frappuccino.
That sounds delightful. And then you're getting the added benefits of, the mushroom in there, which I do think kind of can take the edge off a little bit. It does have a therapeutic benefit that I feel. Do you feel that when you drink it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm very much into how mushrooms can really help. Some of the adaptogen mushrooms, the chaga and
lion's mane.
Yeah.
Reiki.
Those are very powerful chemicals that help body a lot. Ashwagandha is another supplement that I live and die for. It's like it made such a huge difference in my life when I was struggling with anxiety and depression. I started taking that, and I could tell I think it was just adrenal fatigue, that I started taking that consistently, and not a lot, just like one capsule a day.
Yeah.
And after a few months, I noticed that if I quit taking it, I would have a nosedive in how I was feeling. So it was interesting. And again, it's just like what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. But just being aware of the options that you have out there, and that, there are things that you can try and see how it works. Give it a minute. Don't just do one and say, oh, it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to commit to it a little bit. I agree with that. If you're going to try an alternative, you have to give it. I don't even know how long you would say for something like that, how long until you felt it, but like at least a week. I mean, I tell people to try supplements for like 3 months for it to like permeate in. I don't think mushrooms even take that long to sort of, it's almost like in the moment. It's more like an instant versus waiting for it to like get in your tissues. So that's
what ashwagandha is like.
I put ashwagandha powder into my smoothies, and maca is another good like superfood root powder. So there's a ton of stuff, and sometimes they're expensive. I'll give a little secret here. Sometimes I go to, in Canada we have Winners or Home Sense. It's like trying to think of what the American equivalent would be, or but it's like those big, inexpensive home stores that have everything under the sun, furnishings, and they often have a food section randomly that has like pancake mixes and pretzels and whatever. Often they have these, for whatever reason. I've bought ashwagandha there, and ginseng, and healthy protein powders, and like alternative flours and stuff. So those kind of stores oddly can be a treasure trove for finding bargains on like those adaptogens kind of things. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. And if you're in Canada, what's the name of the place again?
Home Sense or Winners. Those are 2 stores. What's the American equivalent of that? It's driving me nuts. It's not Home Sense, but it's so close to that. I am American, but I've been living here so long I can't remember. But it's like they have all the furniture and tchotchkes, and I don't. It'll come to me as soon as we're done. Anyway.
Well, when it does, let me know. Like Winco, but Winco's more like a cheap food place. Or we have Smith's Marketplace.
Oh, wait, home goods. Home goods?
Home
Is that,
goods. Okay.
you know that?
It
I'm from
sounds
New
familiar,
York. I
but
don't know if that's all over, if that was like an East Coast thing or something.
could be an East Coast thing.
Yes, yes. All right, learn something new. Where are you?
Yeah. I'm in Idaho.
Oh, cool. Not
That
too far,
little town
not too
Napoleon
close.
Dynamite was filmed in.
Oh, so cool. Oh my God, cult classic. Vote for
Yeah,
Pedro.
yeah.
My son won as Pedro for Halloween. He's 21.
Yeah, yeah. We I just caught that last part.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's a good claim to fame.
kids are never too old for trick or treating. Anyway,
Well, no,
is there one thing you want to leave?
yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
All right. One thing, find ways to make it easy for you to love yourself and take care of yourself.
I love that.
Thank you.
Just pay attention to your body. It's the body you got. You can love it. We give you permission.
Exactly. Give it love it up. It'll love you back even more. The more you love your
For
body,
sure.
it'll give you reason to love it.
Thanks so much for joining, Marlene. This has been great.
Yeah, so much fun. This was really nice chatting with you. Great convo. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.